When I was an undergraduate in college, I was looking at my schedule and I had to fill something and I didn't know what to take. And I had grown up in a household where we have video cameras. My dad actually had a recording studio. And I never really played with a lot of that stuff. I had monkeyed around with the video cameras, but in college I thought, oh, this is fun. I can take a fun video class. And I took it. I was in the class for about a week, was really overwhelmed by the equipment and the editing, and decided, I hate this. I have to drop this class. I don't want to do this. And I couldn't. There was nothing else that I could take that would fit into my schedule, so I was stuck in this class and ended up falling in love with it. And ever since then, I had taken video classes. I went to graduate school, concentrated in video, and have been making documentaries, experimental films, and writing screenplays ever since. The Cake is a Lie came out of a group show that was happening in Troy. The curator assigned different artists who were part of the show the names of other artists, and we were supposed to make a piece of work that somehow reflected the style or the content of the other artist. And so the artist that I got was Nathan Meltz. Interesting thing about Nathan and I, we went to high school together in Wisconsin. And Nathan does a lot of animations. The animations have robots in them. So I thought, cool, I'll do an animation with robots. However, I don't know how to do animation, and I learned that it would take a while to learn what I was doing. So I thought, what can I do? And decided to make a live action movie that had a robot in it. And there are a couple references to his videos in it. But as far as trying to come up with a story, I didn't really have a story. I said, okay, I have robots, so what am I gonna do with that? And my kids, who play video games occasionally, they use the term, the cake is a lie, a lot. It's a reference to a video game. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. Like, how can I work cake into this project? And decided that I wanted this robot to have, I guess, this existential crisis of whether or not it's going to choose between a battery that would prolong its robot life and also make the robot persist as a robot. However, the robot also learns of cake that humans eat. And so if the robot can gain access to this cake, perhaps the robot could be human, fully human. Well, my kids get credit for the title, although my son says, you can't name your video that. The Cake is a Lie is this term that appears in a video game, and essentially what it means is that I think that there's a character in the video game that's working towards a certain end, and the carrot on the stick is this cake that they're supposed to get to. They're supposed to achieve this cake or get to a cake. And ultimately, there's messages everywhere saying the cake is a lie. Like, don't work towards this. It's not real, it's a lie. And so in this movie, I was thinking, well, there are two cakes. There's the battery, which is called cake, and then there's the cake that we all know and are familiar with, which is edible cake. And neither of them are going to give this robot, everlasting life. Even though the robot has gained sentience, it's not necessarily going to become human. It's still a robot. So I like to write narrative, and I don't really shoot narrative fiction. I just write narrative fiction. And as far as setting goes, I wanted a setting that looked like a post-apocalyptic world, but also I didn't have a lot of time. I teach full-time, and just really needed to get this done on a deadline for the group show. And so I asked around about different locations, and a couple people at Sage College said, hey, we have this armory. You could use the armory. And I thought, that's great. It could be a place that's kind of frozen in time as long as there's no people walking by in the background. And then we did shots outside in a field at Five Rivers as well, just to get the naturescape, and tried our best to avoid any telephone wires and whatnot. As far as the robot, at first, and again, I throw a lot of ideas to my children to see what they can come up with, because they're far more creative than I am in a lot of respects. And my daughter said, oh, you need wires coming out of this creature, out of the robot. We need to get all sorts of different tubes and stuff. And I actually went to the store and I got all sorts of wires and tubes, and they were all different colors. And I looked at it and thought, I don't know what to do with this. I don't have a lot of time, and I'm not good at designing costumes. I mean, this morning I had to sew a button onto my shirt, and that took a really long time. I'm just not good at that. And then I was thinking, oh, I want to keep this really simple, so the robot is more of a reference to a robot. It doesn't necessarily have to look super robotic, whatever that's supposed to be. And I happened to be in one of the party stores locally, and I saw that they had this shiny mask, and I thought, that's perfect. And the mask also reminded me of the, I think they're androids in the movie The Black Hole, these people who have these shiny masks and they have no identity anymore. So I thought, that's a perfect solution. And then I found like a hood that the actor could wear and then just black clothes. So it was just a really easy way to do a robot. I would definitely do narrative again, and I'm most passionate about writing narrative. And there's a project that I've been working on for a couple of years that I'm doing another write of, and I would love to have it shot. As far as me shooting it, I would prefer not to be the person doing it. At the same time, it's my understanding just how the film world works, that it would be helpful to shoot at least a scene and try to get it into film festivals and get it seen that way, and then have the project picked up or find a producer and a director for it. So that's something that I'm considering. My heart is definitely, I think, more into documentary and experimental video. But ultimately, what I tell people is I hate to align myself with genre too closely. I'm interested in storytelling, be it narrative form, documentary form, experimental form, writing. I do a lot of creative writing, fiction writing, memoir writing. So storytelling is what's most important to me.